Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing a review of a comedy from Scotland, English language, released in the year 2013, directed by John S. Bard, and this film is called Filth. So Filth is set in Edinburgh. You've got the police department who are advertising a new job for the chief inspector role. So this inspector, the main character, is very bored with his life. He feels that he has nothing really positive to do, so he's going to take his anger on the world out on other people. So he manipulates other people, he's manipulating his colleagues, and he's also manipulating the public. So he's not the kind of guy that you want out there serving the public. So when this chief inspector job comes along, he sees this as an opportunity to get a little bit more excitement in his life, and so to make his colleagues look really bad, because his colleagues are also in the running for the promotion, to make them look really bad, he's going to play tricks on them, he's going to manipulate them, and he's going to set them up for things they haven't done. So he's basically doing things for himself. He doesn't really understand the concept of friendship. Some of the people around him are good people, but he just doesn't care about that. It's all about him. So this is going to prove very difficult, however, because he is a hard drug user. And this has something to do with his past. And as the more he uses his drugs, a downward spiral approaches, where he descends into a very surreal nightmare that he really can't wake up from. So this threatens to destroy his life, and whether or not he gets the chief inspector role, or he basically just vanishes in the world of drugs, it's something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Filth. This is an absolutely fantastic film. Now, I believe that some people in the production of Filth were connected to another film called Trainspotting, which is directed by Danny Boyle. Now, this is not the same director, but I can get the similarities between Trainspotting and Filth. It has that very grubby feeling. It has that feeling where you need to have a shower after the end, because it's a movie that it feels like it's a different world. It's a very seedy underworld. And I thought that Scottish films do that very well. I don't know whether it is, just the mentality of a Scottish filmmaker or what, but all their films seem to be very dark in tone. And I really like that. I feel that these types of movies are elevated to another status in cinematic experience. It's not watered down for the masses. It is a movie that is going to be appreciated for fans of more extreme cinema. So if you're a person looking for a film to watch with your family, Filth is definitely not for you. I thought this movie is very appropriately titled, Filth. There's some very graphic and filthy sex scenes, there is hard drug use, and there's some violence in there as well. So it's a movie that doesn't really redeem itself. It's a movie that is very offensive, and it doesn't make any apologies for it, and that's what I loved about it. It didn't feel like the censorship was connected to this film. It felt like it was free-flowing, and it didn't have any boundaries, and that's what I appreciate, and that's why I feel, these types of movies are real movies, because they're appealing to people of a specific taste, not to appeal to everybody just to gain some money. So for that, I can give it a lot of credit, but thankfully, that is not the only reason why it is very good. Now, the acting is absolutely brilliant from James Mcavoy especially. James Mcavoy plays the inspector. This guy is a hard drug user, but something in his past has caused him to be a drug user. And I thought it was a perfect indication and a perfect portrayal of somebody who has completely gone off the rails, who has no control of his life, whose inner demons are completely controlling him, and he's on the brink of destruction. And I thought it was just like a car accident, bracing for impact. You don't know how much it's going to hurt, but it's going to hurt. And I've used that saying in a lot of other films, and Filth is definitely one of those movies. It just feels like a train wreck. It feels like this guy's life is going from bad to worse, and there's not a thing you can do to stop it. You just have to watch for the aftermath. James McAvoy's character, as I said, he's a very filthy person, he's very rude, but underneath you can feel he's a very vulnerable individual. And as the movie goes along, he starts to unravel in a major way. And so first impressions don't last with this film. At the start you hate him, but by the end of it, you feel really sorry for him. You feel that this guy, this hard man, this rude guy, this cruel guy, that was just a facade. It was just a shield to block him from the real world because of the vulnerabilities he had, and those vulnerabilities were down to what has happened in the past. So once you get an inkling as to what's going on, you feel that this character is not as unlikable as he first was, and that is the case in life. Some people you see, and first impressions don't always last. You might see this person as, very rude or, whatever, and you don't like him, but once you get to know that person, you start to gain a connection with him. And I felt this movie did that specifically, very, very well, in that at the start of it you don't like him, but then the more time you get to spend with him, it's like the old saying, get to know someone and then you can judge them. And so James McAvoy's character, that's exactly what this film does. You know, you gain a connection to him and you can understand why he's doing this. You don't condone what he's doing, but you can understand it. I thought it was just really, really well told. It's very funny at the start of the film. The first half has a much more comedic sort of tone to it, but then the second half, when he starts to go down this nightmare path, it starts to get very, very disturbing and very uncomfortable. So it feels like a film of two halves, but the two halves don't feel completely different from each other. It just feels like a continuation of a guy, as I said, who's progressively getting worse in his mental state, and you can really feel it as well. You feel like you're going insane along with James McAvoy's character. So this is definitely his best performance. I haven't been a fan of James McAvoy in the past, but I'm a fan of his performance in this film. You've got the supporting cast, Jamie Bell and a few others who are outstanding as well. As I said, the script is very, very witty. You've got some really shocking scenes, as is the case with Trainspotting. You have some shocking scenes of violence. You've got some shocking scenes of sex. I would say that the sex scenes aren't so shocking, but they're just very dirty. It feels like, you know, it's not arousing. It's just very, I guess you could say inappropriate, but yeah, the whole film's inappropriate. And then you've got some violence that might shock you as well. So it all adds up to a very, very memorable Scottish film. Scotland have put a few good films out there of this nature, very dark in tone, but has a comedic relief. I would say it's a very dark comedy, so it's going to apply only to a very specific taste. But if that's your kind of thing, then Filth is definitely one to check out. If you're a fan of James McAvoy and you want to see him playing a different role, a much more serious kind of role, then Filth is definitely for you. I thought it was very appropriately titled. It is a filthy film, but it's a film that I was very happy with. So overall, I'm going to give Filth 4.5 stars. It comes highly recommended. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.